Every Christmas, I'm left with the strange remorse of not having achieved this elusive feeling I yearn for. Surely I'm missing it by looking for it, but I cannot help it. It's all I've ever known, this perpetual homesickness for a feeling I've never felt. I grasp for moments like chasing bubbles, only for it to vanish in the moment of contact. Help Me See is a podcast dedicated to the art of seeing. It's a space for the restless visionary with an insatiable desire to create the life and work you're meant for. My name is Bianca Leah Mora, and I'm a photographic artist, a mother, and a coach who's transformed my fear of loss into power, art, and philosophy. One of the scariest quotes I never want to say is, "I wish I knew at the time." But I truly believe that we have the innate ability to bring our wise 2020 hindsight to our now. You can deeply experience your nostalgia now while it's actually happening with no regrets. All you have to do is see. In this show, we laugh, we cry, we get inspired, we overshare. We have life-changing conversations around making meaning, self-discovery, and shedding all of the BS layers in order to reconnect to our own sacred vision. Seeing yourself is an essential key to living powerfully. You are the vessel, the lens that filters absolutely everything in your life. What are you filtering for? Whether it be conversations with fellow artists and visionaries or my solo audio journal style introspective ramblings, each episode is meant to feel like an exhale, an unraveling of truth, a moment for you to be able to put your finger on something that you haven't been able to for far too long. Come exactly as you are. It's perfect. Honor your instincts. Let's uncover some of the most important things in our lives, which all too often can slip out from our view. Let's commit to seeing and consciously creating what only you can in your one and only life. Let's dive in. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Help Me See. Happy holidays. Whatever you celebrate, I am hoping you had a beautiful holiday time filled with yummy coziness and all of the joy and peace and love and light. Today is December 26th, and this morning I woke up and wrote a poem of sorts. I don't know. I still feel uncomfortable calling the writing anything at this point, but I recently joined a poetry community, and it's definitely been inspiring me and sending me through all sorts of spirals. I keep thinking, when I'm listening to the gorgeous poetry readings and the analysis and the pulling of the threads, I keep thinking about how, oh my gosh, it's like I know this language in imagery. I know this language visually, but I don't know this language with words. I don't know this language with language. It's something that specifically bothers me, and I've been since unpacking one of my last posts about how photography has betrayed me. It feels like I've been using photography and visual art in general as a crutch at times. It's definitely a healthy, beautiful way of expression, and it's therapeutic, and it's enlightening and emboldening and all of the things. And also, it allows me to touch the feeling and be like, oh, there it is, and walk away. And I want to articulate it within myself in a different way. That's what I'm craving. So I've been writing a lot more. So here is this morning's writing. It's called Christmas Bubbles. Every Christmas, I'm left with the strange remorse of not having achieved this elusive feeling I yearn for. Surely I'm missing it by looking for it, but I cannot help it. It's all I've ever known, this perpetual homesickness for a feeling I've never felt. Nowhere but here, I grasp for moments like chasing bubbles, only for it to vanish in the moment of contact. But what if I dip myself in what bubbles are made of, only to touch it mere moments longer? And in those mere moments, I frantically search my soul, taking in the delicate magnificence as I try to feel for the spot inside that feels, the spot that knows, the spot that recognizes. The counterpart of Christmas bubbles. Like looking through a viewfinder, my whole body knows to press the shutter. The catharsis of synthesizing inside and outside. But alas, it's the same amount of time to take a picture as it is to pop a bubble you finally reached. Except now you have the residue of a picture to hold, comfort, console, astound, and torture you. It's there and gone, alive and dead at once. Brought back to life only by my ability to touch that part inside my body again. But it is moved and morphed and melted into something unrecognizable. I could drown myself in bubbles only to disappear in an instant. Reaching for bubbles like reaching for a single day all year, both a shell of a space available everywhere and at all times, just like pictures, only alive through the life inside of me. I was scrolling on Instagram after I read this, and there's a quote that I came across that gives me mixed feelings, especially coming from a visual arts background. It's by a photographer, lovely photographer. It says, "To suggest is to create, and to describe is to destroy." By Robert, how do I say his last name? Robert, I'm going to butcher it. Doisneau. And I agree to an extent, but it also feels so gray. To suggest is to create. To describe is to destroy. To suggest does feel expansive and iterative and open, like you're coming from. And then to describe, most certainly, is boiling things down and constricting and specifying. But I also find such relief in that specificity. I find such relief in when someone describes something so specific and eliminates so much of the outside, and it describes something that helps me put a finger on it, it helps me scratch the itch inside of me through the words that they're using. And I think this effort to challenge myself with a medium that doesn't allow me to point. Be like, there it is, there it is, there it is, there it is. It depends on me to come to something and create from nothing. create the words. It demands that I go first. In this coming new year, because of this, I'm challenging myself to explore other mediums. And of course, I will continue taking pictures, but I'm going to gift myself with a very literal beginner's mind, not from a philosophical standpoint of, yes, I know if I just sit down in the seat of consciousness of a beginner's mind, like everything is new all the time. Doesn't matter if I've been taking photos for decades, right? But a philosophical beginner's mind is very different from I don't know what the fuck I'm doing at all beginner's mind. And that's what I'm looking for in the poetry classes I'm taking. And that's what I'll be looking for and unavoidably experiencing in the singing classes I'm going to be taking, singing and piano, which I don't know why, but it feels embarrassing to say, which is so strange. Something feels extraordinarily vulnerable about it. And, for someone that's been extraordinarily vulnerable, like on a microphone for years, via podcast, it perplexes me, but it's definitely it's just a different space. But coming back to Christmas bubbles, it really does, the line that came to me, the catharsis of synthesizing inside and outside, I think that's really the root of a lot of the discontent and the unrest that I can feel. It's just that I know what it feels like when I'm moving through my life and I see something and I touch the shutter, take the picture. It's like this very physical, emotional, creative, it's like an aligning of everything in a second. And then it's gone. But it's awakening the part inside of you that most deeply recognizes the thing you're looking at. And it feels like I'm really wanting to be able to recognize and understand the part inside of me first without needing an outside experience or representation to draw it out of me. It reminds me of how it can be really unhealthy in a relationship if you depend on the other person to bring happiness to you, or you look to them to make you feel a certain way. Like two halves of a whole, dismissing the wholeness within yourself. It feels like I do that with life. Like I'm pleading with life to validate me, to comfort me, and to show me, see? I don't know see what? I don't know, but see? This. It's okay. Like, I'm looking for it to pat me on the back. Just like, yeah, it's okay. Yeah, see? And I'm not saying, like, I don't even know. I'm not saying it as like a critique. I'm not saying it as I know this is wrong. Maybe it's just human nature. I don't know. I just feel particularly aware and uneasy about it. we hear with all this talk around manifestation and like when you're on the same vibration as something else, like that's when it's attracted to you. That's when it feels the most natural. And I thought about that when I was thinking about how you can hold a bubble longer if your hand is dipped in that soapy water, right? Is it because it can rest on that surface because that surface is the same as it? But even with that, it only lasts a certain amount of time. And then it pops. But inside of it is the same thing that's everywhere surrounding us, right? Like what makes a bubble? It's like the tiniest, like what, I wonder what the measurement is of the surface of a bubble. Let me see if I can find that. How thick is the surface of a bubble? I wonder if that exists. The surface of a bubble, typically a soap bubble, is incredibly thin, measuring only a few hundred nanometers thick, which is roughly the same thickness as a wavelength of visible light, meaning it's essentially as thin as a single light wave. Oh my God. Of course, it's compared to light. A bubble consists of a thin layer of water sandwiched between two layers of soap molecules, creating the film that holds the air inside. Of course, there's film in this. Oh my God. The thinness of the bubble film causes light to interfere with itself, resulting in the rainbow-like colors we see on bubbles. The thinness of the bubble film causes light to interfere with itself, resulting in rainbow-like colors we see on bubbles. I don't know, it's making me so emotional. I certainly feel like I'm interfering with myself. um, and also, just for context about my bubble tears right now, the boys for Christmas got a room makeover, and the door was locked and it said Christmas magic is happening, and they were trying to look under the door. Cassius said that he felt like he saw rainbows and that Tyson was probably in there working on his Christmas present, because Tyson now is all the rainbows we see are Tyson. So now, as I will think of bubbles as light fighting with itself in a film, underneath that film, inside and literally inside the bubble, it's the same stuff that is everywhere. Air. It's everywhere, and yet you're reaching for this elusive few hundred nanometers thick surface of a thing that is only made visible by a single light wave. Once you touch it, it's gone. extract that till it's a shell, right? Reaching for the shell. And inside the shell, if we were even able to hold it and open it, it's like imagine if you were able to take a bubble, hold it, and then open it up. It would look empty because it's full of everything that's all around you already. I mean, what a mind fuck. Think about the shell of a day, the Christmas shell that is the day of December 25th. And I get to that day and I'm like, ugh, I don't feel the way I want to feel. It's like I saw a quote, I don't know who said it, the idea that it's just too much and not enough at the same time. And it's overwhelming and it's frustrating, but it's so comforting. It's like it's all always here. Just like the picture means nothing and everything. Just how alive is the person looking at it? What is the counterpart inside of you that is able to see and witness what's in front of you at all times? It feels like I've come full circle in this. I'm in the middle of recreating my original flagship course, Manifest Your Memories, and about using photography or photographic practice rather as this means to sinking your teeth into your life vision and being able to really extract this version of presence that feels conscious and unconscious and effortless and intentional at the same time. And that's the gift in the best of it. That's the gift that photography gives me. And in that recreation, I've been putting some of those practices from that course into play in my daily life, just in a healthy way, just coming back to does this still hold? Does this still hold true? Or is this like a bubble that when I touch it, it disappears and I'm like, oh, I guess this is something that doesn't need to be recreated. Maybe it doesn't hold its weight anymore. And I'm happy to say that it most certainly has. When the kids are in the basement with the door open and I can hear them. Do you hear that? I think I hear that he's calling me right now from outside the room. Yes, buddy. Come here. You can come in. The door's open, baby. Hi. Come here. Come here. Tell me in the mic. Hi.
Hi.
What do you want to show me?
The robot. His name's Junior.
His name is Junior?
Yeah.
Can you speak in the mic?
For real.
Can you tell I'm recording a podcast episode?
My mom's reporting a podcast episode.
Do you know what that is?
What?
That means I record my thoughts onto here and then other people in the world listen to it. They press play and they listen to it on their headphones.
I love you, Mama.
I love you. Let go of the mic, buddy. I love you. What do you want to show me? Here, hold on. This one. Here. Now talk. What was your favorite part of Christmas?
Presents.
Did Daddy finish your robot?
Yeah, but we're trying to figure, and he's trying to connect him onto his phone so we could play him and move him. But I'm not sure if he can move. I'm not sure if he could talk.
Well, I guess we gotta see. I'll be right there, baby.
Come on, Mom. You're the best mommy in the world. You always listen to me. You always listen to everyone. Everyone. You get it? Everyone.
Okay. I interrupt this programming for life, so I'll be right back. Okay, that be right back turned into a couple hours. Surprise, surprise. I ended up reheating an egg bake that I made for Christmas yesterday. And then I put some monkey bread in the oven that I made yesterday that was like hanging out in the fridge because a lot of our family members got sick, so we had to postpone our Christmas festivities, and so that was just hanging out in the fridge. And in that time that I was gone, I was recording a video of my dog through the blur of flowers, and then my son scooted over to me on his new bluey scooter. It was so cute. And I turned the camera to him, and it focused for a second, but then it had a hard time tracking him, and he scooted away, and the vision of the forced blur, the blur that happens through a camera, through your phone camera, whatever it is. It's like the most wonderful reframe, the most wonderful mistake that is anything but. It just pulled me so deep into that moment, and I ended up making a reel where I said, what did I say? Sometimes the blur helps. Let the blur help you see. And just that moment reminded me to like lean into the interference, right? Like, just because there is interference doesn't mean it's bad. Just because the light is interfering with itself doesn't mean it's bad. In the bubble's case, it results in a rainbow. And this squabbling I find myself doing so often. It's like, I'm so aware of how discontent, I'm so aware of how restless I am. I'm so aware of awareness that I let it get in the way. When in fact, that's the biggest gift, right? But it's like the top of a pin. It's like a pin, or the width of a bubble. It is a few hundred nanometers of a coin swap of, is it going to hinder you or is it going to help you? So, in my last podcast episode of 2024, I asked you, what do you want to do with your Christmas bubble? What do you want to do with your life bubble? Your holiday bubble? What do you want to do with your pursuit of a bubble? I'm using this conversation and this information on bubbles as inspiration for my final Nostalgia Now guided photographic journaling template, which will be out soon. And in this template, we are going to, like always, reflect on the past, the more recent past, as we simultaneously feel into the future. and the type of life that we're wanting to live. Anything you do, anything you see, anything you feel is only alive through the life inside of you. The life inside of you. What kind of life brings you alive? What kind of days bring you alive? Sometimes when we make it too big, it overwhelms us. What kind of moments remind you of being alive? And if you're finding yourself particularly discontent in this season, I ask you, what would it look like to come from creation, to come from a place of content rather than reaching for it, reaching for creation, reaching for content? To me, this means when I'm feeling discontent, how can I empower myself to put myself in the situation of creating, using it as fuel, alchemizing, transmuting, instead of reaching for the bubble, letting myself acknowledge that I am inside of it. And I choose to see the rainbows. And all I need is as little as a single wave of light to do any of it. And sometimes it's just me. I am the single wave of light. Happy New Year.
This has been an Awkward Sage production.